Welcome to another episode of The Adventures of Danny and Mike, wherein the fellows discuss Mike's bike wreck, taking a Twitter break, and going electric cross-country. Now play the music, Bermanti. There's the real deal.
It kind of makes me happy that you guys are my last day because it's been a whirlwind of busy, and
Oh, you went on Busy Phillips?
I went on Busy Phillips. That show's not coming back. It's a real shame. I like it. I like the show.
They're shopping it. They're shopping it
elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what happens.
It'll be on Oprah Winfrey Network before you know it.
I feel like I would have gotten great work on her job.
Yeah.
On her job.
On her job?
So me doing material all this week, I have 3 shows in a row, and I'm working on like trying to do a climate change set. And trying to write jokes. I've been meeting with policy people about it. And so this is fun.
You've been writing with policy people to write jokes.
Yeah. Well, I hear what they have to say about the policy.
She met with Preparara. She met with Preparara to write Trump jokes.
A Yinzer helping out the Americas. Because I'm from Pittsburgh.
Well, we're waiting here in Allentown.
You're Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
we're Midwest. We'll hold that down.
Mahoning Valley.
You guys are
East
Steel
Coast.
Cities.
Steel City, Coal City,
River Valleys.
Bridges that could be that could have plants all over them and could be exuding oxygen, but instead pollution just still takes over. So it's
bridges that Danny and his relatives drive over with hair sprayed, hair up high to dance at the club.
Cool.
To dance at the clubs in the city.
That's not
me
cool.
talking to my mom.
Mildly accurate. As one's North Jersey and one's Long Island.
Ooh,
but either
that's
way.
a mix, huh?
Well,
your
either-
Christmas
Queens.
is lit.
I'm saying you got to take a tunnel or a bridge to get in.
Your Christmas is lit. Yeah.
Well, regardless of our origins, we are here now. We are here right now. Welcome to the Adventures of Danny and Mike. To my right, Mr. Danny Tamberelli.
For the listener, he's hitting me.
And to his right, Mr. Michael C. Maronna.
I'm already bruised, and actually I have a special reveal for the listener and the live streamer for our Patreon people later.
And our guest for the entire hour, Miss J.C. Coccoli.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. My name is Jeremy. Thank you so much
Hey,
for tuning
JC.
in.
Hi, beautiful beauties.
Really good to see you.
I've missed you. I didn't realize.
JB and JC.
JB, JC,
in one room.
I love a good Anish.
Yeah. Abbreviations. That's my game.
Oh,
You
sure.
always remember your first Anish, right? It's kind of like
What was yours? Mikey? Mick?
MCM.
Michelino.
Jer.
Seems longer than the purpose.
You remember auditioning at J. Michael Bloom?
Correct.
So this was like a commercial agency.
Why do I know that name?
It's a commercial agency in
You might have.
in New York City.
I bet he's still around.
ad agency.
Yeah.
So I was always like, that is the coolest name I've ever heard.
Love. It rolled off your tongue. J. Michael Bloom.
I had never heard of
Coming in live.
Yeah, exactly. Like
JMB.
he could have been anything.
What?
Could have
And
been
then guess what happened?
what happened?
Dave Matthews got popular and famous, and then it's just DMB.
Oh, Dave.
We're like, great, DMB.
Eclipsed by
Awesome.
a niche.
ADK DMB 26.1. You have a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
You dumped your.
It's white.
I've been shopping
you're
around.
white.
I want a Jeep Cherokee.
You dumped
Yeah.
your tour bus sewage
I want an
into the
electric.
Chicago River. Electric Jeep. That's a cool idea.
I want one of those. That's why I keep.
Do they make them?
That's the thing is they're making everything right now, which is, it's a great time to be a car maker in the world where we can kind of work in renewable and sustainable ways to build vehicles. Audi's doing it. Tesla's a marker in it. I drove in a Chevy across the country.
Oh, yeah.
And it was wild.
Electric?
Oh,
how was the stopping, the fueling, and all that sort of stuff?
great question. So what was fascinating is because it's not really set up to look sexy just yet,
Yep.
it's in its new stages. It feels very like the Wild Wild West being renewed a bit.
Right.
And it's not prepared for you, but it has jobs there. Like their charging stations are just in desolate parking lots right now.
Yeah, right.
So as
they're
a
just,
woman-
exactly. I was just going to say, they're just like rape traps, basically.
Might as well take me.
Because it's
Charge me up.
I'm
It's
going
like
to
the
be here for 45 minutes. I got another 300 miles to go.
And
Yeah.
sometimes three hours.
whatever your charging time is.
Because
Yeah.
it's a matter of technology versus what
there's
we're
a-
capable of.
But
Yeah.
There's
what
a
it
quick
can actually
there's quick
put
charge
into
things
it,
coming in now.
Yep, you get it. And so, but what was exciting about it and and why I was so excited about the project, because it was Amazon Prime and Funny or Die, and it was comedians doing climate change, which is dream, you know. I've been like Bill Nye the Science Guy fan forever, thinking I would be the next one.
Then he drops the F-bombs and you're like, my man.
My man, come
okay.
on. I like him still.
It's okay. That actually
I'm
made me
down.
like
I
him
know
a little
what you
bit
mean.
more.
Yeah,
Sometimes you gotta.
He's
you know,
human.
When the earth is on fire, you
He's
gotta,
human.
It's an
I
When you're
emergency. It's an
passionate about
emergency.
things, you
But
can
go,
use
but
the
go
word
ahead.
fuck.
It is
You know?
not, and by the way, I mean, George Carlin has great bits about it, but it's just 26 letters of the alphabet, and every word in a sector of time has power, more power than not or not and then. And so when you pick a word and decide as a generation that's not a good word, people get triggered, but some people just see it as letters. Not to blow your mind a bit.
Whoa.
In this case, carbon.
Carbon.
Right?
Carbon, yeah.
Big C.
Big C. We have to get carbon emissions completely down. We have to drop the temperature of the planet by a certain amount of years. They gave around 10.
I was trying to remove carbon from the air my own way the other day. I was riding my bike to work.
Good.
And I went around. There were some cars all waiting to make a right, and I went around the cars on the left, which I shouldn't have done. I should have gotten over to the right and gone on the inside,
You know
on the
rules.
bike lane, the
You know
green
rules.
on the green paint. But instead, I went around the outside, and I had just been thinking about how loose my chain was, and my chain came off my bike at
No.
the worst time. So
Does that flip you, or
Did
does
you go
that...
head over heels? Yeah.
I did, but not before going really hard onto my bike tube right here. So this one's just a special for our Twitch viewers and our Patreon viewers.
Oh God!
Okay.
Joe, what are
Wait
you
a
doing?
minute.
What are you
Wait a
doing?
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What do you mean? What are we? Oh my gosh!
Oh my God!
Oh my gosh!
For the
Michael.
non-Patreon listeners,
You know, and here's the thing. I think that was
do
an
you mean?
advertisement
Pull
to
his
not
pants
have
down.
Patreon.
What do you mean? What am I doing?
and showed him a
on
huge,
a
showed
second.
everybody a huge bruise for the
Guys.
listener.
He said, "What do you mean? What am I doing?"
What do you mean? What am I doing?
We just lost 4 Patreon members. What the hell are you doing?
How is that possible? You have to
What are you
have
doing?
you have to have 4
do. We
Patreons.
got more
I'm
than
here
4,
for the
dude.
planet. I mean,
Relax.
the rules of it, it's so interesting because, like, I want to know what kind of bruise that would be because I don't get to bike as much as you guys do. I'm people here that bike are real soldiers.
Are you in the West Side?
Well, I'm in Marina Del Rey in Los Angeles, and then I
Oh
stay.
yeah, it's hard to bike all the way to where you need to work.
Yeah, if you have to go anywhere.
God.
You kind of have to like stage a second bike somewhere in downtown.
I love your posture now that you just took your pants down.
I sat on my support pillow and
is he-
my and all my
Fix
and just like,
yourself. Fix yourself
More
and be
like-
confident with your decision. It worked.
I like how JC
we just
completely
doubled
called Mike out for that.
we just doubled our viewership is
Wow.
what she's saying.
We actually just gained 7 Patreon members now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You had to say members, didn't
Human
you?
beings are very funny. We're very uptight. That's why I'm fucking looking so excited to go to perform in UK for a little bit.
You're leaving
Oh, yeah,
this
you're
country.
doing Fringe.
I'm Brexiting. Yeah, I'm gonna do.
You're going to Scotland.
I'm gonna go to Edinburgh,
Ah.
and that is Scotland.
I'm not sure.
So I'm going to take the show what we're working on there, but I can't do a full run because I get an exciting project coming back with Whitney Cummings, so I have to go back to a cool little something back in Los Angeles. But I've been having fun here in New York.
Did you ride a bike while you were here?
I walked a lot. I actually really enjoy walking as best I can. I've got the right shoes for it.
Walking is boring in LA.
I still walk.
You just get judged.
Yeah, they talk to you or they judge you or they're like, what are you, poor? And you're like, no, I want to enjoy
I have feet.
Yeah, I feed. I want to use them.
But you're not in Runyon Canyon. You don't need to use your feet any other time. You're like, get the hell out of here.
Hilarious.
Because there's so much nature so accessible. Like walking is only a recreational sport unless you're required to do it economically.
Talking about city planning with Mayor Garcetti, who's currently the mayor of Los Angeles, and discussing how
I can't help but think of the guy from Grand Theft Auto. What's his name?
the one that throws out the hooker,
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
the moving car.
yeah. What's his
Every
name?
one of them?
Yeah, you could.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like Grand Theft Auto 4 or, something, or 5. It's not the
Vice
one.
City?
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, let's say Vice City.
So you're meeting with the.
So you're meeting with the
So you're
mayor
meeting with the
of the city
murderous.
of Los
So you're meeting with the
Angeles,
murderous mayor.
who's also
A gangster.
America's greatest video game.
You,
I love Grand Theft Auto in some ways, but some ways I'm just like, they should consult with me on a few things. Because I feel like I could diversify that.
sure, help them out with guide that a little bit. 'cause-
Yeah, guide it a bit. Make the rhetoric a little bit more pro hooker treatment.
Look, don't just kill him right away. Come on, pay him first. Give him
Sex
a
work is
take
work.
him out to dinner, and then maybe she falls down the stairs. That's how you do it.
Sex work is work. Sex workers organize.
Yeah.
I'm very pro union lately.
Great, me too.
Just
I
the
think
last like 39 years.
I've felt
of my
that
life.
way, I think, in some ways too about sex workers overseas, of how I'm like, maybe if that would,
Well, check it out when you go to Scotland. See how the Scottish hookers do it. And
I did in Japan. What was that? I did in Japan when I went. I was curious about it, and I wanted to go sort of to the underbelly to see what was happening there, just for my own research to know and be aware of it. My sister ran strip clubs in Pittsburgh. I was very much a part of a scene without knowing it. We had like a Thanksgiving dinner there once.
wow.
Yeah.
Can you say buffet instead? Could you just for the yinzers? Can you say buffet?
Buffet, yeah. Old Country Buffet. My grandpa Pasquale would take me there. He loved Old Country Buffet because they had no MSG in the Chinese food.
What's the point?
Such a common misnomer.
Decaf Irish breakfast. Like, why don't you slap me in the face when you get that tea from me? Decaf Irish breakfast. Go ahead.
No, you guys make me laugh.
This guy also comes from what do you call it? An empire of Italian names. So I think.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? Tamberelli?
Yeah.
Tamberelli, Licata,
Right.
Gatto.
Great.
Those are all family names.
Coccoli, Signorello.
Oh, Signorello. Do you know Signorello's? There's a place on McDougal Street that's called Signorello's, and underneath it is a gun club.
Fuck.
Right on Houston and McDougal. Right there.
Couldn't you guys tell me that when I was here 3 weeks ago?
What do you mean a gun club?
Why on my last night?
My great grandfather started the oldest Italian wine distribution company in New York.
That's
Italian American.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. Well, he was the first one to import Italian wine into New York.
Gorge.
1908.
Love that. 1908.
Yep.
Oh
And,
my God.
So over the years, there's just like tons of places in Little Italy and all around there. You're like,
I
oh,
love
yeah.
what you just said, Italy. It makes me
Italy.
so happy to be just with my people.
Italy.
That's the thing.
Italy.
East Coast Italian. That's
It's hard. It's hard because you go to the West Coast and it's not a
It's a different kind of Italian. But when I do find them, that it is quite a connection. I do feel good. I've learned the restaurants that it's a big city. Los Angeles is huge,
Yeah.
man. It's like ever
It's
expanding.
exhausting.
It is exhausting. This is overwhelming too. Like I think I'm more of like a Montana person lately.
But
That's not a bad
you
idea.
get it. You get it that it's more like a galaxy where it's like constantly expanding. LA has that room to do that, where New York is a little bit more constrained by natural.
Also in
Yeah.
Los Angeles, I don't really know if there's like an area that's like, hey, this is the Italian section.
Oh, sure, there is. There's a
of
whole.
LA. It's like,
they have.
what does that mean?
They have.
No, there's this place right in Burbank
Yeah,
that
it's like
sells Italian sandwiches. You're like, oh, that's the place. Great.
Think
Sex
about
City IKEA. Oh, it's to die for.
it's to die for.
to, but
You know
think-
the Swedish meatballs they got there? You should try the Italian veal meatballs down the street.
Italian.
I had lamb meatballs last night.
I have a pound of beef, a pound of veal, and a pound of pork in my freezer right now,
my
ready to make
God.
meatballs. So I like to make meatballs with my son. Meatloaf with my son.
I actually
and
love meatloaf.
And I want to get him to.
If you had meat loaf and you made meatballs with them, would you make them just, a couple dozen tiny meatloafs? Just saying.
All right.
he let
Should I
dad.
get, should I get out?
You should get the fuck
I
out.
zoned out.
I'm only.
And then there were two.
Yours.
Absolutely.
Already lost her.
What? No, it makes perfect sense. I'm saying your meatballs, you just, you give them a little extra.
So
like,
daddy
coating
gets
on
in the
the
bowl.
top.
Yeah.
Daddy gets in the bowl and does this, and he watches from
Daddy
on top
gets
of
in the bowl.
from on top of this little ladder. And I'm wondering if I could get him to do the rolling of the meatballs. That's a little less like
Right.
random, like abstract.
I like the way it feels. I remember liking the way it feels.
We could make a dance out of it, like make the meatball.
You could make some veggie balls. Now he doesn't have to get any.
You do it. You
dead
shape.
animal on.
Yeah,
Okay, so he calls
You
those
roll twice on either side, and then you put it in.
He calls
So
those
making a
waffle
meatball.
and
You're making
falafel.
the meatball. You're making the meatball. It's done.
waffle and falafel.
That is why I like coming East Coast, though, because I do think I eat better when I come on this way.
That's interesting. I feel
I
like
find
the
I eat
food,
better on the West Coast.
but you probably spend more money doing it.
Definitely
The
spend more money
word
doing
better, I'm sorry, I think we mean too many things. You mean healthier?
But
yes.
but I was going to say, but you're
Better.
you're from closer to the East Coast, so you feel more comfortable eating this food.
Yeah, and I'm
buds.
I had mozzarella sticks the other day.
I was going to say New York City.
in Los Angeles.
Yes.
I would never be caught dead with mozzarella sticks. in front of me.
How about walking with mozzarella sticks?
Oh, I mean, that would be it.
Yeah, shoot me.
Shoot me, I'm done. I mean, in LA, I wouldn't even find good ones that I would like. It'd be so appalling that I just would not.
It's so intense on the West Coast that you could walk into Amoeba Records, and if they saw that you're eating mozzarella sticks, they'd give you napkins to be like, "Hey, you got to wash your hands before you come in here."
Wow, you got to wash your hands if you want to buy a tote bag, dude.
Amoeba Records.
Whereas you go to like any like record store around here, you could be walking in with a slice that's dripping oil.
With a
and be
slice.
like, the dollar rack's over there if you want the vinyl.
No, that's why they put those racks outside.
That's
They're
right.
tired of cleaning up the floor.
Dude,
I
they
never
just
know
don't
if I
care.
have like good New York pizza. I just know that each time I've eaten it, it's
all
been
good.
great. It's been great.
It's all
like,
good.
It's
Just don't
top.
buy the dollar pizza. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, don't.
And even the dollar pizza is better than like 47 other states.
I'm on
You know what I mean?
Ouch.
Alabama. Do you think Alabama?
Alabama pizza.
Alabama
Definitely.
pizza.
How's their
It's all
pizza?
it's all
You
white.
know, my-
it's all white pies.
Well,
now.
you don't
There's
get
no
you don't
no
get to choose your
marinara sauce
toppings,
anymore.
That's for sure.
My mom, my grandma, and my uncle just went to visit recently, and all their pictures are from indoors.
From Alabama?
Yeah,
They didn't
I'm
go
sure.
out?
No, I'm sure. I'm sure outdoors was nice, but all their pictures are from indoors.
Sure. Yeah.
Just
I mean,
group photos.
as somebody that has driven across the country, the middle of the country, we all have done road trips before. Mine's only different in the sense that it was a green trip, so it was about the future of what it would look like and how there is money and jobs in this. Like going back to coal people,
The infrastructure.
it's there.
Sure.
You could build on it. You can set up a charging station with 4 campsites and have a reserve there. And
Every
Catholic
COA,
works.
And then
every
something
COA
grows.
should have like 5 of them.
100%, not just in a Walmart parking lot, which is fine if the gun and the organic section that they had was helpful to me on the road
that's
trip.
great. You can pick up quinoa and
And a rife.
bullets
And
for 38. That's great.
It's basically like Oregon Trail, but
Bullets for 38. Yes.
so Oregon Trail, you pick up a box of 100 bullets, and then you shoot yourself something to eat.
But
that
what's
night.
what's the modern way to die though? What's the like?
Well, considering nobody's getting
what do you mean-
vaccinated,
yeah, what do you
you're
mean-
dying
Yeah.
of fucking measles.
You're still dying of
Jesus.
you're still
That's
dying
true.
of the same
That's
thing.
true.
You're dying of a miscarriage because you're
Smallpox?
forced to
have
carry
a kid.
a fetus that won't survive to term.
Yeah, and
because you're scared about the possibility of getting prosecuted for some bullshit for some
And-
totally personal decision.
totally, and just put a tax on carbon. That is going to kill more people than these abortions at any point at any time. It's like if you really want to come from an angle of we care
oh yeah,
so
yeah.
much,
Well, that's not the.
save the people that are currently on the planet now.
ExxonMobil kind of like
That's-
bubbled under. There was a whole thing where like they had internal memos where ExxonMobil knew that global warming was happening for a long time, and then everyone was like, "Oh, something else is happening."
This
okay.
it's preposterous to have this.
What you just said though is something that makes me completely I 100% am behind you in that fact. It's like people are freaking like when my wife found out she was pregnant, it was 5.5 weeks. My wife in
Take my wife.
at 5.5 weeks, like we heard the heartbeat and it like just happened.
Yeah.
But like, take a look at that, ultrasound where it's this very tiny thing, and people freaking out over it, and kids who accidentally get killed by their dad who had a shotgun underneath the bed, and you don't worry about what's happening there. You worry about
and
the
choose.
fact that
It's a power move. These
It's
are
such a
power
fucked up
moves.
thing, and it's really.
It's an archaic structure. Well, that's why it's, going in the middle and seeing, trying to talk climate. It kind of is like this girl, Greta Thunberg. Have you heard about her? I said her name wrong, but
No,
Greta.
you got it right. From England.
From Sweden.
But she's in England, right?
She's there now protesting every Friday, and she's just she's a powerhouse. She's a young girl that held bigwigs accountable at a big summit that talks to billionaires around the world about we check in with billionaires once a year.
Saying, how's it going? How do you think the economy is
at
going?
Davos.
Is it all right?
Oh yeah, well, I saw a lot of that. Video.
We do, whatever. I don't want to ever have a billionaire after me. Like I just I don't have that kind of
Well,
patience.
because you're creating content, and I want that billionaire to float me some money. Hey, I got a great idea for a sketch show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, Dan, it actually is. That's true. I mean, I think that I would like more funding to go into climate so I can make cool shit in that vein that Bill had a good idea about years ago. And if you're not going to listen and change policy, we'll just make some really cool shit, put it on Adult Swim, reach massive loads of people, and change policy on our own, because we can brainwash them, not to get like fascist about it.
What if?
Yeah, if you can brainwash, we can brainwash too.
Yeah, give me your money.
Let's hit Henry and Dana with blow darts, and when they wake up, on Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, they'll introduce other types of themes.
I love Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell.
Jeremy, may I have a tissue, please?
One tissue.
Yeah,
one tissue coming up.
JC, this is sponsored content on the program. Dan's paper towel T-shirt is brought to you by Krebstar, maker of paper towel T-shirts.
I'm thinking this is unwarranted. First of all,
Completely unwarranted. I mean, I feel a little bit better.
I'll note to you that I'm using the back side of the same tissue, not the front side of the same tissue.
It's definitely warm in here.
I can definitely tell you
But
it's
you've
warm
taken
in here.
you've taken what do you call it? I'm so jealous of people who live in LA because they can wear a turtleneck indoors and not. No, seriously, like I don't have the climate. Like I lost my climate adjusting superpower somewhere along the way. Is that weird?
Well, I think I, as a woman, change in temperature quite frequently as the years go on.
Okay.
My body temp changes.
Okay,
notice
single
it.
dad here. You're saying your clock is ticking. Is what you're saying. Okay, I can hear
Well,
this.
I don't believe in a clock. I believe that the idea that I'm here right now works, and then if my egg findeth thy spermeth, I will be fine.
We'll go from
We'll
there.
decideth from thereth.
Okay.
No, that's
If.
If.
heavy on the if.
Yeah.
That's a big if.
Yeah, but I
But
like
it's your decision.
my decision, our decision. I mean, I going back to it, I flew to Atlanta the day of when they overturned it too, and I feel like I landed there to do a 5-day gig to talk about climate, and of course, like I just told you, is like I got there and I really just wanted to talk about that because my perspective was like, guys, you need to be terrified. Sure, the rape, incest, not to downsize that. Yeah, that's insanity. But the men that are actually wanting to go out and have sex, you will be responsible for children. Now, that is like a heavy-weighted thing. And I think that's why
Alabama just brought a court case for an aborted fetus.
Yeah, I mean, fucking gross. Why do you have that kind of time? Why are we talking
I
about
don't know.
this?
Felony. It's absolutely
That's
insane.
insane.
That is the most insane thing, though. It's 2019 and we're talking about it right now.
When the planet is so hot, glaciers are falling. And that I'm...
Can I have another tissue?
Look, if they don't have... If
Mike, you are an actual talent. Has anybody told you?
I love our improvised. I love our improvised report that we did in our Funny or Die video that in San Fran, because I felt so alienated that weekend, and you really put me at ease.
You are so kind.
You did, because like I was hamming it up, and Toby was like, "Get on with it, Maronna." Like Toby had no patience.
Sure.
Oh, Mike
Toby
the
was trying to help
strong
him
Toby
out a
had
little
no.
bit.
Oh, he's venting. He's venting
Oh, I
for
thought you
me.
were showing
so
off
on
the
that.
shirt. I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's guns
Where are we
time. It's
going
guns
with this?
time.
No, I'm trying to be a nice guy.
Right?
I'm
He's
just
so-
really just like helping him out.
Yeah.
He's hot. I'm hot. I'm
Yeah.
only in a t-shirt. I can't take the t-shirt off.
I feel, and that's very sweet and genuine for you to say, because I feel like creatively we, I don't know, maybe we were together in a life, separate lives, but when we came together, I felt very organic about our hang, and
100%.
and the people we were working with are an incredible part of Funny or Die, and so I was like, these two guys are great. And then you were like, I'm in a punk band. Is it a punk band? Is that fair to say?
rock.
So it's a chunky.
Chunky rock.
And then I was like, you're cool, because sometimes people aren't fucking cool.
It
I
happens.
don't-
It definitely
out
happens.
there, especially. I mean, not the shit.
Am
on
I
the
gonna
way.
tell my girlfriend that
Yeah, you
that
are.
I fucked a guy from a chunky rock band? I would rather say a punk band. I really would.
Well,
yeah,
that whole equation's out of
that's
it
a
now.
weird
So
thing.
What would
Say
you
it
say?
like that.
What would you rather
What?
say? You're coming back.
I
You're
would
coming
say-
back.
I would
You're
call
coming
it
back.
then, if you
Whatever.
don't say Chunky Rock, I
I
would
hit
call it-
Dayton. I hit Dayton.
Dayton,
I'm coming
Ohio?
back. I'm coming back.
I would
I'm
call
coming
it-
back to
I'm
Pittsburgh.
going back to Mr. from Dayton.
Yeah, I'm
I
riding
would
back.
call
What
it
am I telling
Stoner
him?
Rock over Chunky Rock.
Okay,
Stoner Rock, yeah, that's
fair.
fine.
A little bit more credible.
Yeah,
It's a little bit more credible. It's also kind of like, oh, and well, you also said you manage your own Stoner Rock band. Yeah, we'll give you the day shift manager at Walmart.
You can man the electric
Oh, if you
vehicle
said you-
charging
if you said
station
you
in
were
the
the
parking
manager-
I was
lot.
just gonna say, cut to JC's buying organic vegetables. Just like Dan, Mike.
Well, that's if you found out that you were actually the manager of a progressive rock band, they'd be like, "Hey, do you want to head the cheese department at Whole Foods?"
I love the cheese department at Whole Foods.
Why not?
If it's grass
I'm
fed,
trying to do
if it's grass fed cheese, I can mess with it. There's something about
grass-fed cheese.
Yeah, grass-fed
So I've been
cheese.
talking about this, right?
It's healthier. It's better. It's another climate way.
This is my theory, and you guys can agree with me or not. When you eat cheese, you taste like the grass that the cows have been eating, or whatever, right? Or whatever animal has
can,
been eating, right?
yeah.
Yes.
And in extension, you taste the dirt.
Right.
So
The soil.
then when you eat beets just taste like dirt. It's like skipping the middleman.
Not always.
I mean, a good beat. Drop it. Get it?
Jeremy, actually, Jeremy's got some good beatbox.
I got to
moves.
lube up first.
You got to lube up.
Oh my god.
That's all I got.
Okay,
Oh wow.
that was funny. That was funny.
Yes.
And I
If
hear
you
you
take
about
that
beat.
and you loop it 16 times in
Yeah, yeah.
one,
Please, yeah, we'll use it
4-bar
on a
frame.
You know,
Oh my god.
It's kind of like
Win a
most of
Grammy.
most of our listeners,
Exactly.
listening to this on 1.5 speed will have all kinds of pitch control on Jeremy's.
Isn't that weird? Do you listen to podcasts?
Only
on a
Ben
different-
Shapiro do I
on
listen to on 1.5.
Oh, what?
faster speed?
So I was
No. Oh,
you can
That's
get
like an
through it
option
faster?
in the.
What?
That's like an option in a lot of the podcasts.
yeah. So listen to them on 1.5 or 2.
And it just sounds like squirrels.
Well, I guess
Like,
I'm
no, no,
going
no.
to be
JC
the
has just
other
had her
way.
mind blown.
from
Slower.
now
That's
on.
the other
No,
way.
I know that, but if you say that, if you do it slower and you speed
and
up to
then speed it up.
1.5, then it's normal.
Then people are
I
gonna
want people to hear me like this. So if you're listening at 1.5, then I'm going to speak to you like this.
I would listen to kids. I would listen to like kids radio programs when I was a kid. I was very lucky that way. My mom would put on whatever the fuck it was, PB, WNYC, and listen
NYC Kids.
So I'd listen to
Maybe
Kids
I have
America.
to.
I would listen to Kids America and Small Things Considered were these like two things when I was a kid, and they played the way the Chipmunks actually sounded when they were recording,
Okay.
and they were going. Fish heads, roly poly fish heads.
Oh my God.
This is like my favorite fucking song when I was a kid.
I kind of get really into that
Roly
because
poly fish heads is your
Fish
favorite?
heads, fish heads.
You remember
eat
that.
them
kids
up.
programming
Yum.
is
You know that one.
I do. I know it. I know it
Look
very well.
for
But
fish heads
mine wasn't Roly
anywhere
Poly.
you
Mine was
want
Trolley
to.
Lolly. I don't know what
Trolley
where-
Lolly.
I don't know where the fucking the Hudson River meets.
Well, what did you call
Where
the night
Jersey's
before?
on one side and New York's on
Yeah,
the other side.
what did
He
you
got
call the night
Roly
before?
Poly, and I got Trolley Lolly.
What'd you call the night
Fucking
before
British
Halloween?
shit. I don't even know what that
I grew up with
means.
Mr. Rogers.
I got
And
a.
He was a local. That's so
I had
cool.
Goosey Night.
Ours
What's
was-
it called?
Goosey Night.
What was the night before Halloween when you
All
grew up?
Hallows Eve, bitch.
I'm saying, but
Oh.
and so when did you have any other name
The
for
day
it?
before it, though.
Devil's
Devil's
There we go.
Okay.
Devil's
Devil's
Thank
Night.
you.
You're welcome.
We had
Still
Goosey
alive. 6
Night.
more questions. Still
was-
alive.
what
Still alive.
What was yours?
I don't remember. We just like went bombing.
Oh, come on.
It was called going bombing.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
No,
When
I
you
don't
were
know.
12 years old, it wasn't going bombing.
They don't call it. They don't call it anything in New York.
What
They don't
did
call
you call
anything
it?
special.
Oh, was it New York?
Beggars
call it-
Night.
What?
Beggars Night.
What did you say?
Beggars Night? I've
Beggars
never
Night.
heard that before, ever.
That's
Beggar?
Beggars Night.
Like you're
It's
a
like you're
beggar
begging for
candy,
something.
begging
yeah.
for candy?
Oh,
Ohio.
yeah.
The
Oh,
night
yeah.
before?
Yeah. Beggars,
It's about
Ohio.
Mahoning
Halloween,
Valley
yeah.
specific
I don't
type
like
of.
that.
Well, we also
I
had a
didn't make it
period.
up.
I
Do
get
you
paid by
guys-
saying Mahoning every
Do
time
you
I say it.
remember the phase where we had to check our candy because there were
Oh,
needles in
yeah.
it?
Yes,
Yeah.
needles.
That's never stopped.
You can't get the
That's today.
tattoos.
That's today for me. I'm a dad. I'm a dad
get-
now, so.
I wouldn't eat apples because there was going to be razor blades
Oh yeah, that was my
inside,
excuse for not eating apples
which
for
is a
10
weird
years
thing.
either.
It's like, do you see any incision on any part of the skin?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Is it
I think you're good.
Is it perforated at all?
I think you're good.
I don't know. It could have been shoved in right next to the stem, and
Oh my
you'd
God,
never
yeah.
notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, better not eat that
I don't
apple.
check the bottom of the top because those are the icky parts. Yeah.
Yes, everyone's scared.
Can anybody hear me clapping?
Everyone is scared.
I listen to comedy so much. I go to so many shows.
So you used to
watch.
applause.
Well, I just know that when it is so smart and it is so funny, I actually react.
Oh,
Which is
Thanks, JC.
which is how I saw a very funny piece yesterday. Rachel Bloom had a piece at the Radio City Music Hall for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend Live, and my friend
awesome.
Kat Burns. You might actually have met her before.
I know
Kat
the name.
She's a choreographer, but she was a choreographer for. So I saw the show, and I was visibly excited about it. It was just like, yes!
He was moved.
Every time something, I was like, yes. And when a very old man was next to me, when he got moved, I was excited about it.
The difference between seeing anything live versus watching it at home.
Ooh,
It's almost we've tried to take it differently by almost real timing that by tweeting about fucking
Right.
Game of
Game of
Thrones or
Thrones.
whatever,
I can't.
whatever.
Last
I
week-
haven't watched it. I haven't watched it in over a year since the end of last season, and I don't need to.
No, you.
But
don't
I
need
know
to, but
everything.
you know everything.
I know
because
everything that's happened.
He's on Twitter 17 hours.
No,
a
I'm
day.
on Twitter, so I just I observe everybody else saying it, and there's like no amount of things you can mute to
I had
get
to
out,
pull
to get
back.
rid of all of them.
I had to pull back from Twitter. Actually, this last almost 4 weeks, I pulled back. I feel
Good.
like I've missed some stuff.
No, it's good.
But I had to take a break for a bit, and
I agree.
Are you getting the
It's very-
support?
it's
Are you
very
getting the support
difficult.
you need, or are you
Yes.
getting bad? Or are you getting bad, like too much bad news and getting overwhelmed?
No,
Because-
I'm getting the support. I also know that I am quite empathetic. And
Yeah, I let it. Maybe I'm too empathetic to all the bullshit that goes on.
and I need to be like push up strong for this fight. And I need to make sure that my mind is in check. And I've got myself back into boxing class as soon as I get back to LA, because
nice.
there's something about being like, for me, just ready for the apocalypse.
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the time. I got a bug out
he's
bag
got a
in
bug
there,
out bag.
ready to go,
Oh.
man.
You're my people.
I got a
Jeremy's
Rambo knife with a
Jeremy's
compass.
exercise
We're not-
actually is
we're-
just
we're-
squats
we're
with his
your
bug out
people-
bag on his back.
And we're your people adjacent. We're running here,
Right.
and hoping that he has 2 extra bags.
Yeah.
He probably does.
Yeah,
It'll be a full
Probably
house.
does.
I'm an overpacker. I'm an overpacker as well, so I could see that happen.
I went to oh, go ahead.
No,
It's your podcast.
No, it's your
No,
it's,
please,
your
look at
hour.
this. Speak
it's
for
your
you.
hour, please.
I went and it had what? Go ahead.
What's involved in pulling yourself back from Twitter? I've never been big on Twitter. He's huge on Twitter. He's mediocre on Twitter. So when you
I would say he's medium.
I'm not-
He's
that's
medium.
time out.
Medium,
I'm not judging you.
mediocre on
I'm just
Twitter.
saying you don't use it.
I
as much
say
as
I'm
he
an
does.
extra husky.
I got-
I'm an
I use it
extra
even less.
I
husky,
got
and he's a
called out
medium.
by
Sure.
fucking the Proud Boy founder, Gavin McInnes. Okay,
That's nothing
I'm
to be
doing
proud of.
okay.
He's doing fine.
Okay,
And that's
I'm doing just fine. I hit him hard enough that he had to retweet me to tell all his stupid fucking followers to come get me.
yes. Yeah, we have, and by the way, this is what's fascinating about it, is that
You
it's
suffocate him though.
Yeah.
That's the point. We shouldn't be doing anything.
Yeah.
You suffocate that noise.
right.
Don't fuel it.
Yeah.
Even if you're engaging, you're still fueling.
Yeah, and it's hard. Sometimes
Absolutely.
it's good policy to have a back and forth with yourself. As technology continues, everybody should be taught to take a breath, because this is only becoming more advanced. We're only
The
accessing each other
24/7 the
quicker.
24/7 news cycle is even.
And we
more.
actually need to be trained on how to balance all this. We're not programmed to be all immersed like this, because this shit is crazy. He's
Let me
passed.
tell you what. It's the little bit of sweat.
I don't.
It feels okay.
I actually love this dynamic because I'm not sweating at all.
It's
and
LA,
I'm gonna
that's
turn
LA
away.
for you, babe.
You're doing great.
I'm just, my hands are warm.
So this
We have
happened.
ketchup blood and you don't.
This happened.
Even
the,
though you had it when you were in Pittsburgh, because that's the Heinz ketchup.
my
I had a
Oh,
meeting
gosh.
with them about kids content.
kids content.
I did.
Well, you
was
want
it
to
about
talk to these 2
about
ketchup-haired kids?
lycopenes.
We can help out.
I feel like
Talking about
you should,
lycopene.
honestly, we should I probably should do it because I could probably get us money and we could just create a book, a pop-up book is what I was thinking.
Just tomato heads.
I know a literary agent. We're good.
He's
That's
got one
the
in the
idea.
family.
We're
He's
good.
got a literary agent in the family. It's a little bit
It is
different. It's a
so-
little bit better than knowing.
And for, to teach kids, I want to teach kids that they have the opportunity to change law and policy, and I want to do it in a pop-up book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
I want to show them that
All
they
right.
can do it.
I'm ready. This is the type of posture that you have to have in the book to show kids that you can do it.
You can do it, and I want it to be about the earth, and I want it to be about climate, so these kids have good lives. And I want it to be, it's about windmills.
There was there was an All Things Considered.
I ate lunch at a windmill.
Ooh. You ate lunch at a windmill. Great.
No, go ahead.
How was it?
I had
Was it
fried.
great?
I had fried gravy.
great?
It's called bitter balls.
Bitter.
Oh, I love yum.
Fried gravy?
Yeah, it's just like gravy, and then they kind of
Deep fry.
Can you do the robot meatball dance? They do.
One to the left,
They
one to
roll
the right,
and
the
then they
meatball's
fry
done.
that, and it's
That's
called
what-
bitter balls
It
in
is.
Netherlands.
Oh, I love a good.
You were
dinner.
saying.
I was just going into how
You too.
we can change policy.
I'm sorry. Your
And it
family
goes-
controlled the
and
wine
it goes-
business in
and
New
it
York
goes-
since
it goes-
1890.
No, I'm not even talking about that. Well, speaking of people,
How much methane do your vats emit?
speaking of people, whose family grew up, making fake wine and oil and all
Such-
sorts of other things, particularly during Prohibition in New York City.
like to do this.
Oh yeah, no, we were making
You're
it.
making the wine.
No, but to have
I've done that before.
to have white collar jobs and stuff that are and people who are in those jobs are actually starting to think about things. Like I listened to this.
Podcast.
No, it wasn't. It was
2X?
All Things Considered. It was
On
on, it
2X.
was on NPR. I like to listen to terrestrial radio.
What's
He's more of an earthbound. He's
yeah,
more
I
of
like
an
to listen
earthbound
to
guy.
it on the radio.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
As
I
opposed to
like
the
that.
satellite style.
Sure.
I don't.
Oh.
Something with a monthly subscription just
Really?
doesn't feel right.
Right.
Wait,
Well-
don't mess with me because I'll be confused if there's different ways to listen to
We
podcasts.
love Nikki Glazer.
No,
she has a
podcasts are
show.
podcasts.
She has a show on
I
Sirius
just
XM.
did.
She's like one of our favorites.
She's a dear friend.
and other like we've been on Jim and Sam at
Great.
Sirius
Oh, great,
XM
great.
a couple
Right.
times.
I
Like
like
that's
them
been
over
That's
great.
satellite radio. Terrestrial radio is the radio that you get
That you
coming
make
out of your
on the
car.
earth. The-
You can get it online if they have a website that streams it, but it's different.
I
earthbound
did radio
radio.
in Pittsburgh.
Right.
That's
Terrestrial
Sure.
radio.
You have to
Terrestrial.
you have to broadcast
they-
from like under a bridge, right, in Pittsburgh, or like from
holding
a
a
foundry.
stick with
yeah,
foil
yeah.
on it, just
Not-
like
it's not that bad. From
God.
from one of the hills in Larrytown.
So
Larry.
that's what I was doing is I really wanted to listen to the radio. I just stuck an antenna out so I could catch
my
it.
mom had us do that.
And I did. And I was listening to this
Whoa.
All Things Considered about a anesthesiologist who's decided to
I'm already in.
there's like two generic types of anesthesia that they prescribe for like general things.
Right.
And one has a tremendous amount of like carbon disruption in
Off gassing.
like that screws us up a little bit.
Right.
And he didn't realize it, and he was particular to that specific thing. So then I started using the other one because he realized doing the data, the amount of people that he anesthetized every year,
Wow.
and how much it actually using the wrong anesthesia for the world, and how it affects this year I saved 150 like full tanks of driving a Land
Nitrous,
Rover.
bro.
And you think about how many anesthesiologists there are
And what they can do.
and how he's literally changing people's minds, not through like, hey man, like you make $1 million a year and you probably, you might be a little more conservative leaning and handle your money, but this isn't about party lines and like climate change being real. Like here's data, here's how much carbon that you're,
and
emitting
here's
and
you making a change and making a
and-
difference.
Yeah, and actually the thing that's less offensive to the earth is also the cheaper.
And learning how to convince people, like you saying to yourself, like you rode the bike, that is how small the change needs to be across the board to create a flow. And you're gonna laugh at this, and I didn't even, sometimes it gets pulled from me, but I started bringing around a metal straw.
Is that a measure of how much cocaine you do in LA?
And I just realized.
Because I didn't never want to
My
live in LA.
own
This is
straw.
for the listener.
And I got
I'm coming
it.
over here.
You guys can't see it, but it's massive.
Look at the size of it.
Yeah, you can get like it might tip over a small iced coffee, but if you got a venti, you get a 16 ouncer, that shit's staying put.
And it's like
That's true.
I
It
use
forces you to buy a bigger coffee to stay
you
stable.
could be drinking that coffee at the top of Mount Washington with 150 mile an hour
Right?
winds.
on a 25% grade.
And I laugh about it because there are so many smaller ones, but like I got this one and I got it in Ojai and I was like, yes, this is the moment. But then as I was like comparing it to other real straws, I was like, this is hilarious, but I need to keep this for as long as I can. I'm going on a year and a half. Yes, I clean it. Yes, I take care of it.
Whoa, nobody was saying nothing.
I just want people to, well, it's
But
a,
how do you?
I'm glad that you
have
make eye
little
contact
brush?
with me when you said yes,
you
I
can brush
clean
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you want to just make
you
sure.
get a little pipe cleaner.
Yeah.
You just put a little pipe cleaner in there.
And
Bottle
it's
brush?
Yeah, and it's kind of cool to have, but I also love that sometimes it gets like taken out as like they're like, what is this?
What is
and I'm
this?
like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
it's
my
my straw.
It's
Get
my
off
straw.
me. It's
Get
for the
off my
earth.
Yeah,
back. Oh, it's
yeah.
my straw.
Hi,
And
you
it-
took
it
away
really-
you
it
took
really
away
is
my
that
margarita.
simple.
You took away my margarita glass, but you took my straw with you. So
If you could give me
bring it back.
$15.96
yeah, just bring it back.
plus 7%.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You should have checked that. We can't have this. You fly with that. It's a weapon. It's not a weapon.
Yeah,
It is a weapon.
It's
though.
very dull.
Climate change is the weapon, sir.
I mean, can you see? I
And
can
that's
see Chow
immediately
Yun
when
Fat.
you get thrown on the ground and cuffed and taken away.
And they're like, she's a
As soon
6
as,
on
like,
the
yeah,
7.
you're like,
Passenger
Oh,
58.
man.
Passenger 58.
Oh, well,
It's a sequel.
Yeah?
Chow Yun Fat is Passenger 58. Takes a-
What's he been doing?
what do you mean? What do you mean? I just he was on my TV the other day because I just watched Crouching Tiger,
Well,
Hidden
that's what-
Dragon.
I'm going to have to see who that is in the Google.
I don't
Okay.
know either.
Okay, great. So
he's
the
a
movie
kung fu-er.
Contact, I just want to say before I forget.
Oh yes.
That's, to me, that's radio at its finest. I don't know. Am I doing the right movie? Or is Contact Jodie Foster?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know. They like used the,
Or The Saint.
sure. Well, I mean, honestly, anything that has to do with like those kind of people. What? You're going to laugh at me.
Keep going.
No,
Say it. People-
no,
Go ahead.
said
If
the
you're a
Saint.
Dave,
I'm gonna
said the
abort.
if you're a
Saint.
Dave Matthews Band fan like
As-
me, J.C. Coccoli.
It was just look, Elizabeth Shue was an important person for me in a specific time, and that movie.
Karate
The
Kid was
Saint
also on the other
part
night.
Of it. That's,
Karate Kid was also on
I was
the other
curious
night.
where you were going with the Saint.
I think I didn't really know, but I think, well, the idea of radio is what I was talking about. Is it's satellite versus terrestrial, and I thought it was cool. Movies like that had a way to kind of talk about the mediums that people can listen to things, and then they tuned into aliens. Do you believe in aliens?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, you
One
have
of my
to.
favorites.
Absolutely.
I actually
Bishop with the knife.
I feel like it's more irrational to believe that we're the only
Great
things
scene.
on any planet ever.
that would
anywhere.
be insane.
That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to me. That is like an
It's very
even more
conceited,
like
very
you
conceited.
fucking tunnel vision motherfuckers.
Have you seen the Flat Earth documentary yet?
Oh
No, somebody
I won't watch it.
that
You have to.
you were
I
you were
can't-
laughing, right?
That
would
shit makes me.
100%.
You were laughing
that shit
online
hurts my
about
brain.
Yeah.
It hurts my brain so hard.
I am so enthralled by it because I actually have quite a few, not to brag, but JPL is in Pasadena. So I have
A jet propulsion lab close by.
Yep, close
kind
by.
Kind of a lot of space guys.
He's going to really laugh at this, but Bobak Ferdowsi is a friend of mine and I love him dearly. He's actually quite hilarious himself.
Fact check, Jeremy. First fact check of the evening.
Bobak
You spell that for him?
Ferdowsi, yeah. He's going to be like, it's Ferdowski.
Why?
B-O-B-A-K.
What is the point? Can I ask? Can I ask what the point of this fact check is?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You get it when you get it when you
I
get
don't
there.
usually ask that,
Pass
but
it
I
down.
usually
Get it when
let
you
you
get
do
there.
it.
Anyway, he was like, you got to watch this. So I watched it because of this. And he's been kind of coming on and doing more and more to me incredible projects. He's like, this is just my life. But he like stares at Mars all the time and he can tell me everything about.
Do you think he becomes
Mars
more
is flat.
You think he becomes more warlike when he stares at Mars, and more in touch with his female side when he stares
You
at
guys
Venus?
got to get him on. Will you bring us back on together? Because
Oh,
he
hell
will
yeah.
be.
Sure.
He's a dream of a human, and he will always. He's the first pick anytime I pitch any science show, and he literally is like, I don't want to be on television, and I'm like. You
have
gotta
to
be on television.
I love it.
Yeah, check him out. Bobak Fordowski, explorer of space, engineer at NASA. NASA JPL.
kind of a second-hand
Okay.
Yeah.
fact check here.
I'd love to do
One
an
of the-
all like
one of the new-
NASA alien
Yes.
episode like that. That's
Yes.
right up my alley.
Yes.
Oh, my fellas that I
My
work
fellas.
with, unfortunately, are
They believe in the Earth is flat.
no. They started with chemtrails, actually.
Oh, okay.
EPA.
Oh yeah.
Silent Spring. Rachel Carson. Great book. I'll read about it.
Oh sure. DDT was a bad thing, but they're talking about the stuff that they see in the sky, the stuff that they see in the sky, and they'll send me pictures of the sky with all these sort of like trails crisscrossing. They'll be like, chemtrails were out a lot today, and I said to my coworker one time, we're working in Long Island picking up cable, possibly some horse dung and some frozen soil. We get paid well. We're in the union.
Which union?
Local 52 for
The poop pickup
electricians.
To be honest with you, waste is a very profitable business.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So Giuliani apparently kicked
Mobs
out the
love it,
mob.
too.
Apparently.
Okay, Giuliani
So
needs a meatball thrown at his head.
I said to,
He's
if we're into egging fascists, I think the food going at fascist thing is so cool. Who's gonna egg somebody next? Please let us know at 347-470-8150.
No
And
way.
if you egg somebody and send it to our Patreon at patreon.com/
Danny and Mike with the ant spelled out.
we will send you some sweet shit.
I don't know if you can do that. You
No,
could
I
also
think you
just
can.
send it to our Twitter or Instagram. But
Yeah.
either way,
Yeah.
throw some shit at people. Who cares? You're not going to get in trouble.
Egg some
Absolutely.
fascists. Please egg some
Racist
fascists.
assholes.
But also
I mean, that's
remember
subjective.
that
But
Fascism
I
is
said to my
subjective.
coworker,
It's not, no.
I said to my coworker, I said, that's just what happens when people are in airplanes and they hit the flush button on the toilet. I really said that to him.
egg?
I really said that to
That's
him.
very funny.
And he goes, he looks at, he turns around for one of those long seconds. It's sort of like it's December or whatever. You
Yeah.
can see your breath.
Can I get a tissue?
You can see it's infectious.
You're in control of the tissues now.
And he looks up in the sky and he turns to me and he goes, somebody's been
Oh, for the listener, JC is slowly patting Michael's face. He is sweating
That's
now
what I
as well.
needed.
Rarely do we get the mic sweat. Rarely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a rare breakthrough.
That's
Thanks,
called a
JC.
callback.
I'll take that. Thank you.
In the union. Here,
Subject
I'll
you.
take that
yeah,
too.
Take that one too. He looks at me and he takes a long look at the sky and he says, they've been holding down the button on that toilet for a long time.
Dead.
And he looks like the sky is going to
And where do they work? They work in an area that's crisscrossed by 3 major airports
Each.
and another like 3 or 4
regional
tertiary
airports.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! I
where there's
do.
constantly
When
fucking
the people are
everything.
landing the
all
plane.
that.
They're landing the plane like
Where
on
are
the air
they?
on the highway and outside of Teterboro. They always fuck up. It's always a Teterboro, and and there's always so many
Where's
highways.
Teterboro?
It's in New Jersey, so there's always highways everywhere.
I
So
think
whenever a plane
that's where
misses,
the Kennedy guy got killed.
Misses.
whenever a plane has problems, they come down on a highway somewhere because that's what they can see when they're looking. Like, oh, this looks like some cement we can land on.
But
they
as
always
someone who grew up
come down
right
a
by
highway.
Teterboro Airport, we were always told that they could land a 747 there if they needed to.
right.
There was a problem.
if
And
we
you're like,
needed
if there
to.
was a problem, that's really shitty because, Newark Airport's 15 miles that
Exactly.
way. LaGuardia is fucking 15
I
miles
still
that
don't
way.
and you're
understand.
moving like hundreds of miles a minute. You're moving hundreds of miles.
I just
a
don't
minute.
understand. I mean, DuckTales was a prophet. How do you not land on water by now? How do you
Right.
not just have it equipped to land on water? And some engineers like that.
That's a good point.
Can't say that out loud.
It's true.
But
every time I try to jump into a vat full of gold coins, it hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm never spitting them up out in
Yeah.
the air afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, I'm having fun. It hurts.
Howard Schultz really came up and sank really quickly, so maybe Scrooge McDuck is going to capture his energy for 2020.
I have to just.
He's gonna Ross
meditate
Perot.
on- I
He's gonna
miss
Ross Perot.
him.
But I'm saying there's gonna be another Ross Perot spoiler coming up. I think in 2020. Unfortunately, get ready for that bullshit. Get
No
ready for some Beto bullshit or something like somebody who didn't have a shot and is running out of spite and should be running for the Senate in one of their states, one of their respective awesome states that has sucky senators.
Yeah, that's the downside of being kind of off Twitter is me not being fully aware of that in that space.
It's not that it changes with the minute or the second.
I can handle it. What I'm saying is knowing that's where it was going. That was why I was starting to God bless you, my love.
Yeah, stay. I'm
Thank
gonna.
you very much.
I'm gonna go be over here.
Yeah, just but that's that is the alarming rate in which people are kind of in this race, and we're a year and a half out of one of the weirdest things that's about to happen.
With respect, this is the next super formative 6 months because
right.
So this is when people are all elbowing and stuff like that. So I feel like it's a good time to be aware of what's happening because you're just going to be presented with a major party nominee later, later next year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying ignore everything and then tune in later.
No, I'm not ignoring, but I am.
No, it's just like
It's
what
gonna be
you're going about. You're going about your life and what's important to you. And
for the last 4 weeks, yes, but it actually makes me think okay, we'll be in a daily contact, and then I can just get it from you, and it won't be so difficult for me to absorb if you just break me down with just shoot me a message every day.
I've been intimidated to slide. I've been intimidated to slide into your DMs because you're attractive.
That's what the newsfeed is. Oh, geez.
Two different subjects.
Sorry.
That was.
Okay.
I Vino Veritas.
I think that is very true. Go ahead, Pete.
No.
Pete.
We're letting all the Freuds out tonight.
I guess we gotta wrap it up
All
early.
the Freuds are
Give
out
it a
tonight.
good wrap it up.
Yeah, we said you got an hour, but
Just kidding.
Wait, I'm going back to that. I find you attractive too,
fair.
and even more now that you're dabbing your sweat.
That you're dabbing your sweat.
I was gonna say,
Your
like when
furrowed
you get
brow.
you get flushed when you're talking to somebody. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to.
For the listener, he's covering up, recoiling within himself.
For our Twitch viewers
I
at
love
twitch.tv.
the power I
Daily
have over single dads.
Heavy single dad tractor beam energy.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
Wow.
I have that give me that kid for an hour face.
Oh wow!
Not like to hang out.
In a related topic, Jeremy has zip car only parking outside his apartment. It's like only for car shares. That's the only cars
Jeremy's your son?
that are. This is Jeremy.
Sort of.
G, my
That's
son.
also his
yeah,
son.
Sort of.
Yeah, he's older than me, but still my son.
Speaking of your son, G, we offered to babysit him last week, and somebody wouldn't trust
I
us.
took my son to work.
God.
I took my son to work, and we went up in the lift, and I have no pictures of it, just in case
Yeah,
his
you
mom
don't
didn't
want, you
like
don't want
that.
Dyfus coming around.
Oh, I know you went in the lift. Oh, did you? You weren't working in the lift. You
Yeah,
just-
yeah, it was. I moved a 5K with my son strapped to my back, like Empire Strike Back's Yoda.
Yeah.
You know, like when Yoda's in the backpack. It was fun to have my son at work, but I was also super nervous.
How old
yeah.
is your son?
He's 2.5. So
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're tiny, huh?
yeah.
2.5's fun. I have a god kid that's now 7. Even though they had a second kid, they didn't ask me to be the godmother of the second kid. I learned
Rude.
that that's rude, but also
Is that rude?
Is that
It's
traditional?
just how it is. One, yeah,
One
did
is
you get one and
enough.
done?
it's a Spider-Man thing. Everybody gets one.
I thought it wasn't.
I think it's about sharing more outside
Right.
the family. Or whatever.
I had to talk to my therapist about the egoic
God.
part of it. I was like, I
Did
don't
you
know.
really want to
I
handle
don't
two god kids?
She had a
One is enough.
And I've
JC had a podcast episode entitled "Shunned,"
and they're artists
Snubbed.
too. You guys would love them.
snubbed.
They are very, very smart about how they described what they would want if anything were to happen. But I like the idea of a young kid kind of growing up. But I was out here outside where you guys record, and there are tons of kids.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
people just
This is-
reproduce
this
for
is the
sport.
neighborhood.
over
Park
here.
Slope is a very child neighborhood.
Child, dogs,
Heavy.
and puppies.
People can afford to reproduce. Let's put it that way.
Sure. I what?
People, you don't have to have money to reproduce. That's not a thing.
It's not, but
It's not a thing. I understand
but
what
in
you're
New York,
saying.
But in New York, to give them the best fucking chance in the world, people in Park Slope are doing it. That's why they moved to this freaking neighborhood, is to go to this.
I look at you
one-
like it's just Park
I
Slope.
don't particularly
this one
think
school. Like
I don't
there
really
was,
think the
there was a
pheromones
mythology.
are hanging around any harder to be like, well, guess I should be having kids now. I live in Park Slope.
Yeah, you got one, but you got one, and you acquired
I made
that.
my kid in Crown Heights. Different.
You have a kid
Different.
too?
You made your
I
kid
made
in
a kid.
manufacturing
Kid is a-
tax credit.
It's pushing in my wife's belly, but that's it.
Oh, that's right.
8
She's
months.
pregnant.
Yeah.
yeah, but he's married. He's
And-
married.
Negative. No, I don't.
No kids.
for me.
no kids for me either. But I think a lot of my girlfriends too have just had kids. But it doesn't.
Being a godmother is good.
I think I am quite for now. For this next year is what I'll give it. Right, like my head. I'm okay going about my life right now the way I think it just is.
But being a
playing
godmother off Twitter is better. You know what I mean? You're more engaged with the kid's
I
life.
will come back. I am back. Yesterday, I retweeted something quite spicy.
Whoa.
And I
your
felt
God's
For all the haters.
and I got back into the game. But I have to remember, I really do, is that I am, my responsibility is a comic to find places to talk about that are to me fascinating, not to the world, but to me what I think I want to say and use my voice as it. So I do need to check back in with myself every now and then. And I found
And take
that,
care of yourself.
yeah, and I found that Twitter was really great, but it wasn't. It was also affecting me, and until I learned to manage that healthily, I have to go in and out properly.
Yeah.
Time
Well,
suck.
if your whole career is based on observing things and giving your
You have to observe
your
things
take
elsewhere.
on it,
You got to observe things elsewhere.
it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard to like figure out ways to turn it off because
And I want to be
you
there.
just
I want to hear
Like-
what everyone has to say every day. That's what I think is scary.
very general, not 100% in the same realm, but just thinking about like things that you observe things.
I have notifications turned on for Danny.
Oh, good, very good. No, my wife and I were in Red Hook.
My life. Did you go to the Good Fork? Did you go to the Good Fork?
We were just like hanging
Delicious
out down
restaurant.
there.
No
big
ad
deal.
dollars.
We were just hanging out by the water, enjoying ourselves, and we were walking back, and there was a guy who was like in a white shirt that was like hit all over with paint and like painter's pants on, clearly with paint on it.
Right.
And I walked by and I just looked at her and I was like, "You must be a painter, huh?" And it was just like such a dickhead thing to do. And like he was having fun with his friends, and she whatever. It was a funny little
in front
joke.
of his pregnant wife.
It didn't mean anything, but like in that same moment, I'm like, God, I feel like I'm always like observing and trying to figure it out.
This is how I stay fresh.
Oh,
I knew you had a secret for the our Twitch viewers will really get a treat at twitch.tv/.
It changes everything. It changes the room. It changes the vibe. What is it? White rose water, rose alba.
I used to get the Evians for free, the little Evian water things.
You talk about the Brumasator, bro. That's a brand we hate. Evian is.
Oh,
that's pretty nice.
You talk about the Brumasator.
Yeah, Brumasator is good.
How are you? You can't fly with any of this, so you have
Yes,
to.
I can. It's all
everything
under 3 ounces. All under 3 ounces.
Yeah.
Everything I do is efficient and to the point. I would never fly like a rookie. That's insulting.
I'd never fly with
Not
something
you.
over three
No,
ounces.
that's how.
No, I'm just saying. I figured like you had planted in New York long enough to acquire something that was over 3.5 ounces.
I have now gotten, and I did a joke about this, but I think the TSA should come out with their own beauty line of all
they
the
should
products.
have a line of accepted.
Oh, that they've been able to take.
Oh
over
yeah, I
the
can't
years?
bring the keels. I can't bring the keels aftershave
I never
because they
knew you
only
could
make
combine these two things. It's a really good.
This is genius.
It's just like,
Genius
you're just
idea.
coming
That's
up.
really genius.
Get your shit back.
They have their own little genius makeup bar.
Rihanna, TSA, Fenty Air.
Oh my God, hilarious.
Mashup.
But I do think
$1 billion. We just got $1 billion idea for this episode. Thank you so much, JC. We're writing it down in the notebook. Jeremy, do you have the $1 billion idea notebook handy?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'll get that over here.
you really do.
Yeah, we have $1 billion.
idea.
What's the $1 billion idea?
Oh
I'm not sure. I'm not sure for the listener if you can read this.
Are they on?
can
Are we
get your
on
own.
Twitch?
If you have
no, just recording.
If you have any $1 billion ideas you want to let us know about, please call the hotline at 347-470-8150 and let us know. Sometimes people call with their moms in the room and we hear dialogue when it's supposed to just sort of be a monologue, but we learn more about our viewers that way and our listeners, and we like that.
I love your viewers.
What are you putting in that book? What's the idea?
Did you hear what the $1 billion idea was?
Because I feel like there needs to be a consensus that it should go in that book.
What was the $1 billion idea? TSA.
It was the TSA
friendly line of beauty products.
Well, TSA, I don't know. It was not molded yet, but the idea is that they must come out with their own beauty line of all of our shit since 9/11
Yes.
that they've
They
collected.
have so much.
And then my idea is TSA, Rihanna, Fenty Air.
Yeah.
Weird. The
Fenty Air.
LLC
And
states September 12th, 2001.
We'll go on Shark Tank together.
Oh gosh, that'd be
You want that to be our first date after
Oh,
you slip
God.
into my DM?
that would be so
Wow.
intimidating, but I think we could do it. Where do they tape? Where do they tape? The Valley,
Burbank.
right? I was totally going to say the Valley. Dan's going to give me some pointers beforehand because he knows the territory.
I'm sorry I called you Pete.
We're gonna go
I
out
was
to
flustered.
We're going to go out to Cafe 22
JC,
Tango
it's
on our
okay.
first date.
That's Florida.
Cafe
I
22
can't-
Tango is Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's a good Burbank?
Oh, good Burbank one.
Oh,
Just go to the mall.
big
gosh.
boys.
Go hang out at the mall.
Oh,
Why
wow.
not?
I'm looking forward to it.
I think we're getting to that time of the podcast episode here.
Where JC gives us our plugs.
It's
Her
plug
plugs.
time. It is unfortunately plug time.
Okay, what would you like me to say?
I don't know.
Whatever
What
you
do you
like.
what
We
do you
got some
got,
upcoming
me?
things. We're
You
gonna
got stuff-
release
you
this
got
real
stuff
soon. So
happening
if you
within the next month.
Yeah.
In the next month. Okay, cool. My new comedy album is dropping. It's called Coal Country, spelled CUNTRY.
whoa,
And it is going to cover this cross-country road trip in Electrica that we did for Amazon called The New American Road Trip. You can see that on Amazon and Funny or Die Now. And also, I will be in the UK all of July for London's inaugural London Climate Action Week, their first ever. And we'll be performing at places like the Delhi Theatre and more.
in Edinburgh.
And Edinburgh, which will be soft. It's going to be me doing probably one show. 2 shows.
That was like the University of Edinburgh was like the place to be if you were a philosopher a couple hundred years ago.
Oh, I imagine.
So you should go there and drop a deuce right there. Like take an upper decker in the philosophy department.
Did you say drop a deuce?
If drop a deuce in upper decker means go and read all sorts of interesting philosophy.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's totally what I meant. That's totally what I meant.
That's what I thought you meant, right? Is that what you meant?
It looks like we're not having that date after all.
Some way to really put the cherry on top with a fucking deucing in the upper deck.
Jeremy hit the button.
Well, before we do that, we are part of the Last Podcast Network. Check them out, lastpodcastnetwork.com.
This is awkward.
Also, we're on Patreon, patreon.com/Danny
and Mike with the "and" spelled out.
Which is a stupid thing to say.
I don't think so.
Because there's no ampersand in anything.
I love the word ampersand.
Web 3.0. Nice. We're going to have some ampersand. That's what we're going to strike for. This is the major concession that we're going to get in the next round of negotiations is, hey, guys, they threw in ampersands. So we can do that now.
Yeah, then
that's where the dark web comes
right
in. It's just ampersand, darkweb.com.
It's a code. Yeah, it's a code.
This has been so much fun.
Thanks. And a little bit dehydrating, but I'm going to have some water right after this. I feel much better.
It is warm in here, but that's because you have an incredible studio space.
Good energy. Thank you so much for being a good guest.
I can't express. It's really cool to see creativity in your home like this. It feels right in New York. LA is just a little... trash.
I know we had some
who needs things like windows and air conditioning?
You can find this guy at D Tamberelli or Danny Tamberelli on the Instas, at Michael C. Maronna on the Twits.
I think it's at JC_Coccoli. If I'm
at JC Coccoli.
I better not be sliding into the wrong DMs there.
Who knows?
I'm just gonna give you my number at this point.
There's no reason to slide into anyone's DMs
Primanti Brothers, kielbasi sandwich with cheese. This is the last thing I had there.
Can you call me Ellen? Just say it for old time's sake.
Wow. Who's Ellen? Oh, that's a bit.
That was your line. That's how we met. That's how we all became friends.
That's ultimate callback.
Flashbacks of our meeting.
Okay, sorry about the word flashback.
Beautiful.
I'm at Remy Balon on most things. Thank you all so much for tuning in. JC, that was so much fun.
Thank you. Vote Democrat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fight the planet.
Fight the planet.
Fight the planet.
Fight the planet.
Oh, Jesus.
Bye.
The Adventures of Danny and Mike stars Danny Tamberelli and Michael C. Maronna. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balon. This podcast is part of the Last Podcast Network, which can be found at lastpodcastnetwork.com. Make sure to check that out for a ton of great shows. For more information on the guys, visit our website at dannyandmike.com. Also look us up on Twitter at Danny and Mike with the N spelled out, and on Facebook at facebook.com/The Adventures of Danny and Mike. Thanks for listening.
This show is made possible by listeners like you. Thanks to our ad sponsors, you can support our shows by supporting them. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lastpodcastnetwork.com.